Welcome, everybody. Welcome back. Charles J. Kelly with you, CPA, also known as CJ the Smart Guy. And today I've got a magnificent guest. So if you checked out my Mound Bayou podcast episode on my finance road trip 2, you would know that we visited Mound Bayou, me as well as Najah Roberts, during the Digital Financial Revolution tour. And when we got to Mound Bayou, we didn't really have the turnout that we expected. So I made one call to a resident that I've known since college, and I wanted to bring her here today. She's a resident of Mound Bayou, magnificent person, made the entire Mound Bayou scene amazing. We got to meet Mayor Eula Patterson. We also got to meet Reverend Daryl Johnson, and it's all due to her. So with all due respect, Charaine Crayton, welcome to the show. Appreciate you for coming on. Appreciate you for making the Mound Bayou visit absolutely amazing.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It was also a pleasure. We're always trying to get people to know about Mound Bayou. It's a very special place, one of the first all-black towns established by ex-slaves in the United States of America in 1887. And no one knows that. It needs to be in the history books, and we need to scream it for this whole country to know it.
That part. I remember, so in college, you were telling me about Mound Bayou, and I didn't really pay too much attention back then because I was just like, okay, it's a small city, never heard of it before. You know, I'm coming from LA. I'm coming from, you know, bigger cities, whether it's LA or the Inland Empire or even Houston. I've never lived in a small type of area. So describe your experience, I guess, growing up in a rather small type of country type of environment.
When I try to describe Mound Bayou to people, first of all, when you mention Mississippi, everybody thinks slavery. No, it's 2020-something. Come on.
Mississippi burning.
Right. No, it is not that bad. They do not go around bothering you like that. And I don't want to use the word they. I do apologize, but none of that is going on. But growing up in my small town, I always describe it as like a movie scene from one of those 80s movies where kids were able to go trick-or-treating by themselves, not being bothered because it was a village. Neighbors raised neighbors' children, and that's how the whole town operated. Yeah,
I know when we went there, one of the things that was most memorable for me was they said that there weren't any like prisons or there were no jails set up for like the first like 50 years of operation. And coming from a big city, like to have no police officers is like mind-boggling. How was that?
It was not necessary because Mound Bayou was the place where Emmett Till's mother came for protection during the Emmett Till trial. And she came there because in Mississippi, in Mound Bayou, white people were afraid to step into Mound Bayou. In the early 1900s, late 18, you know, that was not the place to, they were fearful of the men there because they had become smart. They taught each other. They had their own resources. They were a threat.
Yeah, so I know when we went there, another thing that they told us was that they pretty much grow all their food. They don't have to go to a grocery store. This is the only thing that they buy at the grocery store is flour and bananas. And then everything else they were able to just grow on their own.
Exactly. That Mississippi River made the land so rich. It was like the perfect spot, which is why it gave the name Jewel of the Delta.
Yeah, Teddy Roosevelt. I think that's what he labeled it as.
Yes.
For sure, yeah. I did my research. After you told me everything in college, it took me about 10 years. But then when we went out there, I did a whole bunch of research, and I saw, like, so you had mentioned it was created by the descendants of slave owners.
Yes.
So I think it was the president of the Confederacy, Jefferson Davis, 2 of his former slaves, Isaiah T. Montgomery and Benjamin T. Green. They created, it was like, I think 840 acres that they bought of swampland. And, you know, they just bought the area, and it was an all black, you know, scene.
Actually, there was another before Mound Bayou.
Talk to me.
It failed.
Okay.
And they were forced to move more into that bayou type of area for the land. That's how they ended up, and it became successful. I cannot remember. It's Fort Bend or Fort, I forget the name of the first establishment, but it had been done before, but it failed.
It failed.
Yes.
Mound Bayou was successful.
Yes. The Fort Bend place, I may be saying it wrong. I do apologize if I am. But that location was more of a trial error that white people allowed to see where it would go.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, because I went there, like, you guys had your own bank. You guys, it was like very self-sufficient.
Hospital with all black staff. Yes.
Yes. Okay. So then when we go to today, so it's a weird concept. It reminds me kind of sort of Africa in the sense where Mound Bayou has all these amazing resources. Like, I know the soil is great. It's a lot of farmland. The air is clean, you know, but it's considered, quote unquote, the poorest city in the country. And I don't quite always understand how the cities or the countries with the most resources are considered the poorest. How do you feel as though the dollar amounts, do you consider it poor, or was it tough growing up there? How was it?
Growing up there, I didn't look at it as being tough. I look at it was all I knew. So I didn't look at it as being tough. I looked at it like I figured everyone grew up like this, and every other I didn't think cities were as big as they were. Like, that's how small-minded that place will make you feel. But as I grew up and I began to travel and go in other places, yes, I began to realize I came from mud, literally.
Yeah.
So everyone there in this time is leaving because we're trying to better ourselves, and the school system. I think the high school just got shut down maybe 5 years or so ago because they combined it with another town just to save money because they couldn't afford it anymore. It's very sad. Yeah.
Yeah, because the resources there are wealthy. The people there are amazing.
But I believe, well, I want to say there's just a lot of things being blocked to stop Mound Bayou from really taking off and taking its place in history as it's supposed to.
Politics.
Yes. So, but I do, within the past 2 or 3 years, I have been seeing a lot more buzz about Mound Bayou, and I am here for it. I want to help any way I can.
Yeah, for sure. You had mentioned that there might be some politics going on. I know. So I think there's like a freeway. I think it's like the 61 or something. And when we were driving on it, it was like a nice paved freeway. And then it like diverted. It diverted. And then all of a sudden, you know, to keep going to Mound Bayou, all of a sudden the road got bad. It was like potholes. It was crazy. And if I'm not mistaken, I was told that, you know, unlike most gentrification or redlining or gerrymandering, instead of them putting the freeway through Mound Bayou to use eminent domain and take the land, they moved the freeway away from Mound Bayou so that the average person couldn't go spend money in that city.
Yes. So you know how I want to use the famous Highway 67 that goes from one side of the country to the other. If you have a business and you're on that highway, you're going to get money. Yeah. Am I not right? From tourists that are coming through every single day. Mound Bayou Highway 61 was that highway. Yeah. And the little tourists coming through spending money, and it wasn't even tourists because there's nothing to see, literally. It was just the little people that traveled through needed gas, the little small. We only have 2 gas stations. Yeah. We don't even have a red light. There's a stop, a 1 4-way in our town. That's how small the town is. Wow. So that little traction that was coming through the town, that was all the buzz we had, and it's really gone down even further because now that highway was moved outside of the town. So when you pass by, you don't even see Mound Bayou anymore unless you reading a sign that's really small. Yeah. Because the bigger sign is on the old highway. Yeah, they diverted all the attention away from Mound Bayou. To stop our town from getting money and to keep it down. They don't want everybody to know. But people need to know. Oh, yeah. And that's what this whole thing is for. You know, so Najah, one of the things that she did is she tried to go to locations that were important to the Black community. So I know in Houston, we went to Emancipation Park. I know in Baltimore, we went to Harlem Park Theater. And so in Mound Bayou, you know, we went to the Mound Bayou city as a whole because we knew about some of this. There was a guy named Dr. Donald Evans, who he's an activist who moved to Mound Bayou, and he was really good with Najah.
And so we linked up with him, and he's the one who linked us up with Mayor Patterson. And then once we talked to you, that's when we went to your grandma's place, Madea's place, and we set up shop over there. We got to meet with Reverend Daryl Johnson, who is the former mayor. So, you know, big shout outs to Madea's place.
Thank you, grandma. Thank you.
Yeah, that food was delicious.
Best burgers in town.
There you go. What part is like? So if somebody's in Mound Bayou, how would they be able to get to Madea's place? How would you describe that? So
if you do come into Mound Bayou on the new highway, you're gonna go all the way until you get over it's a small hill that used to be an old railroad. You'll know it when you see it. And once you get to that four-way, you're gonna see a small white building with a big flag that says Best Burgers in Town. That is my grandmother's restaurant. And you're in for a treat if you do get the chance, I swear. Best burgers in town, for sure. Madea's
Huge
place.
Huge burgers, I swear. Yeah, filled us up for sure. Everybody was cool. So he's also said that you've traveled to lots of other places. Where are some of these other places that you've traveled to? So when I was going to ITM in Mound Bayou, my mom moved to Houston and moved me with her. So I actually grew up in Houston from 5th grade and on up to 12th grade. But I always went back to Mound Bayou every summer, every holiday. I also went to Atlanta after that and graduated from cosmetology school. I stayed out there for maybe 5 or 6 years. And right now, I'm currently working in Memphis, Tennessee. Okay. So while I was on tour, of course, we went to Houston. We went to Memphis, Tennessee, and Atlanta. So we actually checked out all those places. So I would say in comparison to let's just say Houston, in comparison to Houston, how different is Mound Bayou? Like, what are some of the biggest adjustments that you had? For me, there are pros and cons for both because I am a country girl at heart. So no matter how boring Mound Bayou can be or can get, that's home for me. So when I compare the two, Houston is more fast-paced. There's always something to get into. Mound Bayou, you got to find your own fun. You got to make your own fun. You got to, as far as jobs, working, it is easy as heck to get a job here in Houston compared to working in Mound Bayou or in the Delta, period, because we have to go to a town that's 10, 15 minutes away to go to a McDonald's. Walmart, to get gas, and on top of that, I can't say that the living is cheaper. You can get more land if you can get land, but as far as job-wise, that's why a lot of people end up leaving, because people who are at jobs like Taco Bell and McDonald's in that area probably had them jobs maybe 15 or more years because it's very scarce to get any job. Yeah. Imagine fighting for a job at McDonald's. Yeah, no, I don't want to do that. Exactly. So everyone tends to leave Mound Bayou, Mississippi, and going to Memphis or Houston or Atlanta. Everybody's going to these big cities, and so many successful people come out of Mound Bayou. We got doctors, dentists, all of these things. And where they should be serving in their own community, they are not, because the tools are just not there. Yeah. I know that's one of the things that, we're looking at now. So in every single city that we went to on the tour, we were basically trying to, do our research about those cities. What can we do here? And Mound Bayou by far was like one of the best cities that most of us went to. And so a lot of us are thinking about, how much land can we get in this area? What can we do on the farmland, because the resources are rich and the prices are relatively low. And so we're looking at that for sure to build on it. I think the biggest thing is most of us don't know how to farm. I've never really grown my own vegetables. I'm a city boy, to the T. So I'm used to growing up in an extreme fast-paced environment. Gas prices in '08 when I left California were still higher than they are in Houston today. And, gas prices there are like $4 now. So for me, everything's been fast paced. When I went to Mound Bayou, I just saw how relaxed it was, how loving it was. And, people breathe and they talk to you and they have full conversations and they're not like in a rush to go to the next thing. And so, yeah, I think that a lot of us now, we're looking towards Mound Bayou, especially us from the city, because we're like, hey, look, we want to get some land where boring is good to us. Yes. You mean I don't got to hustle 24/7 to eat?
No, Mound Bayou is it's a really special place. It'll always be very special to me because I'm from there. But for anyone who does get to experience it, it's a very special place. There are so many historic marks everywhere that, you know, are unknown still to everyone. And as far as, you know, the air, that's one of the biggest things for me, the air. When you step into just waking up in the morning, if you ever got that early morning, oh, God. Oh, my God. If you ever open your lungs like that, it's just... the freshest air I've ever breathed in my life.
You can see stars.
Literally. And that's another thing that I noticed. I did not know when I moved to Houston and I look up at night, I could not see the stars anymore. That was devastating because we're used to running outside in the grass with no shoes on and playing in the dirt and, you know, looking up at, we did all of it just like a movie. Like when I tell you I grew up like hometown, that real hometown feel that everybody was at the basketball game supporting, you know, everybody just. So
it wasn't Memphis, it wasn't Boys in the Hood or Menace Society? Because that's the movies I grew up, you know, living
No, I wouldn't even much, I wouldn't say that, like, it's very hard to compare because it's very hard to compare.
Whole different viewpoint.
It really is.
Yeah.
It really is.
So, okay, so what are you doing currently nowadays?
So now I've been a seamstress as far as I could ever remember. I really don't even remember when I started making clothes, but I learned from my grandmother and took a few extra classes in high school. And after that, I just took off on my own. I'm self-taught. I learned basics from a class, but everything else is self-taught. I've been doing that lately, focusing more on that. I just got through working with Amazon and Apple, and I'm focusing on actually putting my dreams on the front instead of working for someone else at the moment. So that is what I'm going after right now.
There you go, for sure. That's the entrepreneur period mindset. That's what we all like. I quit my job in 2008. I've been growing my hair ever since. So this is how long I've been, you know, working for myself. So
as long as you've been stress free, because ain't nothing like working for. If I can put all of this energy into him, why can I not put this energy into myself and do the same thing for me? Yeah,
exactly. And so now with this Bitcoin thing, so I know that, you know, you were unable to come to Mound Bayou or to Memphis, but we will be both in Memphis and Mound Bayou this upcoming year. Make sure you guys check out thedfrtour.com to see what day and time we're coming to your city. It may update every once in a while, so I don't want to say it out loud, but thedfrtour.com so you guys can check out when we're coming to your city, because we'll be going to 34 cities this 2022 between May 28th and July 13th. So make sure you guys check that out. This year, though, you have to make sure you come to Mound Bayou, maybe Memphis as well.
I'm coming.
Maybe even Atlanta. You know, we're gonna try to make sure you come to all
definitely.
of them.
That's no problem. I can come to all three.
Yeah, for sure. Bring some of your clothes out there. You know, be a merchant. Just the fact that you made Mound Bayou, you know, everything last year, we're gonna make sure that we turn you up for sure.
Yeah, I already have a little clientele in Atlanta, so
there you go. There you go. And now for some of the people that are watching that might be from Mound Bayou or here, you know, to listen to you, I'm going to give you a little bit of Bitcoin information.
Let's go.
So you ready for that?
Yeah.
Cool. So, okay. So first, Bitcoin is slowly becoming the world reserve currency. Yeah. So when we think about like assets under the ground, so we think about like oil, we think about farmland that you can grow things from. One of the things that, you know, make oil valuable or makes gold valuable or silver is that it's a scarce resource. We can't just go outside and find gold bars everywhere. Like, you got to actually extract it from the ground. Right. And with Bitcoin, it's a digital software that says, hey, there's only going to be 21 million ever to be created. So it's a scarce asset, just like a gold or a silver.
Right.
But the benefit to it is that now you can, transact around the world. If you have a bunch of gold bars, it's going to be difficult to transact with somebody in Kenya, because what you're going to do, mail them? Like, that's a lot of weight. That's time.
And what are they going to do with a gold bar?
And what are they going to do with a gold bar? You get what I'm saying? So to be able to transfer Bitcoin is a lot easier. So it's scarce, just like oil, scarce, just like gold, but then it's easy to work with. And then when it comes down to the security aspect of it, most currencies are backed by a government. Right. When we look at the Confederacy and things of that nature, when they try to rebel against the U.S., that was the first thing that the U.S. attacked, was their financial system. Right. You look in, Russia was going on with the sanctions overseas. The first thing America did was cut off their financial supplies. And that's why their currency, the ruble, went, way down in value, because we're not doing business with them anymore. Right. But one Bitcoin equals one Bitcoin. Right. So because the value of their ruble went down in Russia, it looks like the value of Bitcoin is at an all-time high. Whereas here in America, it's only around 42,000 versus the all-time high of 60,000.
So why would it be less here and more there?
Because here in the U.S., the standard for money is the U.S. dollar. Mm-hmm. So as of right now, we look at the U.S. dollar as $1 equals $1, because on a daily basis, we're not thinking that the dollar is going to change drastically in terms of pricing. Gotcha. But we're starting to see that with gas prices. We're starting to see that with goods and services, in the sense where Dollar Tree went from $1 to $1.25.
Which has devastated me.
Yeah, not just you, myself also. And so as prices are increasing for things, that really means that the value of the dollar is going down. But we don't normally look at it from that perspective. So when we see the price of Bitcoin going up, it's not always that the Bitcoin's value is going up, it's that the US dollar value is going down. And the US dollar value has been going down consistently since 1971, which is when America said it's not going to be backed by the US dollar, by gold anymore, because the gold magically disappeared in Fort Knox, magically, right? And so that's why you're seeing this huge difference in terms of, prices going up, wages staying the same, but costs of everything going up. It all stems back to 1971, because the US dollar is no longer backed by gold.
Listen, I get it.
Yeah. And so around the world, people are seeing that the US dollar is not backed by gold. And so they're like, well, why are we going to use the US dollar? It's not even scarce. The US government can continuously print it. And that's what they did during COVID. But not just America, the whole world did it. And so with the Bitcoin, there's only 21 million to ever be created. So it's like, hey, if you get one Bitcoin, you're going to be in the top 1/21 millionth, in terms of like wealth in the whole world. So that's a little bit about Bitcoin. And so what are some of your questions about it? Because I want to make sure that I'm answering things for your audience.
Oh, I want to give you some good questions for people who don't know, like me. Okay.
I got you.
Okay, so when you say talking about Bitcoin, NFTs, and things like this, mm-hmm. Bitcoin, non-tangible, right? Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. So $1, you can hold it in your hand. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Bitcoin, it's not really there. Mm-hmm. But if you compare a Bitcoin to, how can I say this question? How credit cards are, like how the money's not really there, mm-hmm. but it's there. Mm-hmm. How would you compare the two as far as Bitcoin and the credit card? As far as, does that have anything to do with one another, or like
for sure
similarities wise?
So the way the current financial system works is the U.S. government, let's just say they print out $1 trillion. The money comes to us as citizens or things of that nature, mm-hmm. and then we spend it and we move, it goes from one person to another, to another, to another, all these different transactions. The faster the transactions move around, that's typically what we call a good economy, because the money's just moving around. In a bad economy, the money is staying still. Well, what happens is sometimes when things start to stand still, they say, hey, let's let people borrow some money so they can have some more money so that then maybe they can spend some more money. But it's all still, in theory, controlled by that $1 million that they, or that $1 trillion that they created. They create the money, we're spending it. The problem is that then they can create more money. So they keep on spending. They keep creating, which makes the dollar value go down. But if we're using a debit card, we're using money that the bank is holding, but we're still using the US dollar. If we're using credit cards, that means we're borrowing money that we may not have, that the banks are then, saying that they may have, or whatever credit card company. The current system is way more difficult than the new system. The new system simply says, hey, there's 21 million Bitcoins. This is an asset. If you want US dollars, you can borrow against it, or you can sell it. Otherwise, you now have an asset that you can use around the entire world. If you have a credit card that's based in US dollars, you may not be able to use it in Japan. You may not be able to use it in Kenya. You may not be able to use it those other places. If you have paper tangible money, who's to say that it's real versus fake if you're in another country? But one Bitcoin, just because of the software, it's easy to make sure it's not fraudulent. It's easy to make sure that somebody doesn't send you something and then call their credit card company and then get it reversed.
So basically quicker and safer transactions. Correct.
Remittance fees. So say if you're trying to send some money overseas, the way it's done now is you would go to a Western Union or MoneyGram. Yeah. They might charge you $200 or 20, a high amount, and it might take a week, 2-3 weeks. And then from my understanding, there's been times where they've done it and then they never delivered it and they sent it back. And the people in the other country were just waiting for the money. They never got it because you're dealing with the middleman. With Bitcoin, it says, forget the middleman. We're just going to send it directly there. It takes less than 10 minutes. And then with certain softwares like the Lightning Network or Liquid, like the fees are like 2-3 pennies.
So it sounded like, to me, Bitcoin is the way to go.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be becoming increasingly more important as time goes on.
So one more question. For someone starting a business as of myself, how could Bitcoin help me?
Yes, that's a great question. So let's look at McDonald's, right?
Yes.
Let's take McDonald's and a competitor such as Burger King. Because the US dollar keeps printing out money, the prices for things have to go up. So when I was younger, McDonald's used to have a dollar menu. And then on the dollar menu used to be a double cheeseburger.
What?
Well, what they had to do is they said, oh, well, we either A, have to take off a piece of cheese so that we can, keep our profit margins up, or we have to increase the price. Well, with Bitcoin, what it says is, hey, instead of having to worry about inflation, meaning prices go up or the quality goes down, you can just buy and hold Bitcoin because the value of that's going to keep going up over time. So what happens is these companies who buy and hold Bitcoin, they're not going to have to raise their prices. They're not going to have to do those things. Therefore, it's going to force certain companies to buy into it, or they're going to wind up going out of business. Because imagine as inflation goes on, Burger King has to raise their prices for a double cheeseburger to $2.50, and McDonald's can still keep it at $1 because their Bitcoin just keeps going up. The value keeps going up, so they don't have to, raise prices.
So that takes them out of even having to compete, period.
Correct.
Okay, interesting.
So that's one thing that Tesla's doing. They bought their Bitcoin. They're just like, well, we're just going to hold on to it. Why do we have to compete? We're going to let everybody, all the other cars go up, in price, and we're just going to keep our prices where they at because our Bitcoin's going up. You get what I'm saying?
I get you.
So then from a business perspective, getting paid in Bitcoin is very strategic. Of course, you got your Cash App, but what most of us are starting to use it's a app called the Black Wall Street app.
Yes.
Where you can accept Bitcoin, you can buy it, and then you can send it to your cold wallet. We also have Strike. Strike allows you to, accept Bitcoin as well. The fees are extremely cheap.
Because I think the only thing I have on my phone as far as purchasing Bitcoin is the Cash App app.
Yeah. Yeah, so make sure you download the Black Wall Street wallet as well.
Which I just got today. I ain't made my profile yet, but I've already got it downloaded.
There you go.
Check it out, guys.
Yeah. Also, so like one of the things I'm very happy about is these new domains. So the technology has changed to where everything is not just, CJtheSmartGuy.com. You got .govs, you got, .shops, all that. But now we have .crypto. So for instance, like if I set up CJtheSmartGuy.crypto, I could set up a Bitcoin wallet, an Ethereum wallet, a Litecoin wallet, an XRP wallet, and then people around the entire world can just send their money to CJtheSmartGuy.crypto, and then I'll be able to receive all the different types of cryptocurrencies to come to my one wallet. And then for business perspective, it's very easy to keep track of all of that. And I get those on unstoppable domains. And so I have CJtheSmartGuy for pretty much everything, because once I came up with that name, went to a lawyer, got that trademarked, bought my domains, not just the .coms, but the .cryptos and all of those. And then you have your own brand and you get your logos made, and the business world just never really stops.
Never.
But getting paid in cryptocurrency, specifically Bitcoin, also leads you to a huge network of people. So hopefully you could come out April 6th to 9th to Miami for the Bitcoin conference. That'll be really, really fun. Lamar Wilson and Isaiah Jackson, they'll be speaking. Okay. Author of Bitcoin and Black Americas, Isaiah Jackson. Okay. One of the co-authors for Bitcoin American Dreams, Lamar Wilson. And so that'll be very nice. I hope to see you there.
I'll definitely try to make that happen in Miami.
Yeah, for sure. So if there was anything that you wanted to let anybody know, whether it's Mound Bayou, the audience, 10 seconds of fame, what would it be?
I guess just a plain shout out to everybody from Mound Bayou. Mound Bayou never gets the recognition that it, deserves. So, 100% proud of being from Mound Bayou, Mississippi, representing here, Jewel of the Delta. It's not much to say.
I got you.
Not much to say. Just, it's so many people that I could name, but everybody already know. I'm just trying. My main focus is to scream Mound Bayou till the day I die.
There you go, for sure. And for anybody else who's trying to accumulate Bitcoin that doesn't want to buy it, you got apps such as the Fold app where you can accumulate it every single day by spinning the wheel for free. And then as you use the app more and more, you can actually use like augmented reality games to accumulate it. And then you can wind up getting the Fold card so that all your purchases, you get Bitcoin back as well. And then you also have Lolly. That's another easy way to accumulate. And so if you have no money whatsoever, you can have Fold, you can have Lolly. You can start accumulating Bitcoin that way. And hope to see you in Mound Bayou and Memphis. I'm elated that you could come on, and I'm really, really happy that you can make Mound Bayou really, really crack. So I appreciate you for coming on, Charaine.
Thank you for bringing me. Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
Cool. CJ the Smart Guy, we're out.